If you rewind the clock about 4 billion years, our planet was, well, pretty much just water and barren rock. And yet somehow, out of all that non-living chemistry, life sparked into existence. It's truly one of the greatest, most profound mysteries in all of science. So today, let's play detective and investigate the ultimate cold case, the origin of life itself. Right at the heart of this whole mystery is a really mind-bending paradox. See, life as we know it is this incredibly intricate machine where every single part seems to depend on all the other parts just to work. So you have to ask, if you need the whole machine just to build the parts, how in the world did the very first part ever get made? Okay, think of it this way. You've got DNA, right? It's the blueprint, the master instruction manual that holds all the info needed to build a living thing. But then you've got proteins. They're the workers, the little molecular machines that actually read the DNA and build everything. And that includes making copies of the DNA itself. See the problem? You can't have one without the other. It is the ultimate chicken or egg problem. To even begin to solve this, we have to go way, way back. Like any good detective, the first thing we need to do is survey the scene of the crime and really get a feel for the conditions on primordial Earth, a whopping 4 billion years ago. I mean, the timescales here are just staggering. Earth forms, and pretty soon after, you've got oceans of liquid water. But it was a violent, chaotic world back then. For hundreds of millions of years, the planet was just pummeled by asteroids during what we call the Late Heavy Bombardment. And yet, and this is the amazing part, almost as soon as things calm down, boom, we find the first chemical whispers of life. So what clues, what raw materials were lying around at our crime scene? Well, we had a planet covered in water, an atmosphere full of simple gases. We had organic molecules, the basic building blocks of life, literally raining down from space on meteorites. We had incredible amounts of energy from constant lightning and a young, fierce sun. And way down in the oceans, we had these things called hydrothermal vents, just spewing out geothermally heated, mineral-rich water. All the ingredients were there. Okay, with the scene set, let's meet our first prime suspect in the how life got started case. This theory is all about information. It's the idea that a special replicator molecule came first, something that could carry instructions and, crucially, make copies of itself. And this is where the theory gets really clever, because it proposes a single master molecule that could solve our chicken and egg problem, RNA. You see, RNA is this multi-talented chemical. It can store genetic blueprints, kind of like DNA, and it can fold up and act like a protein to get chemical work done. It's the blueprint and the worker, all rolled into one. So the theory goes something like this. Imagine a warm little pond, a primordial soup where RNA molecules are forming. Just by chance, some of them develop the ability to make copies of themselves. Now, because these copies aren't always perfect, you get variation. And once you have replication with variation, you have the beginnings of Darwinian evolution. The best replicators win out, and they eventually evolve the ability to build the more stable DNA and the much more efficient protein machines that we see in life today. But, not everyone is convinced by the replicator theory. Some scientists argue that starting with a molecule as complex as RNA is just way too unlikely. So let's bring in our second suspect, the idea that life started not with information, but with energy. This hypothesis completely flips the script. It suggests that life began as these self-sustaining cycles of chemical reactions, a kind of proto-metabolism. This wasn't life as we know it, not yet. But it was a chemical engine powered by the natural geochemistry of the early Earth, especially in those deep-sea hydrothermal vents. The idea here is that the hardware, the engine, came before the software. So here's how this engine could have worked. You have those deep-sea vents providing a constant flow of chemical energy. The mineral surfaces inside these vents, which are rich in metals like iron and nickel, they act as natural catalysts, speeding up reactions and organizing them into cycles. These cycles start churning out the basic building blocks of life. And only much, much later did replicators like RNA and cell membranes come along to basically hijack this pre-existing chemical factory. So we've got two very different starting points. The replicator theory, or genetics first, pictures a complex information molecule popping up in some primordial soup. The engine theory, metabolism first, imagines a simple energy cycle getting started in the structured environment of a deep-sea vent. For decades, honestly, the RNA world has been the frontrunner, but the evidence is starting to shift. And the doubts about the RNA world are definitely growing louder. A lot of chemists, like Robert Pascal here, find it just incredibly difficult to believe such a complex system could just organize itself. And many of the lab experiments trying to create RNA under early Earth conditions have been, as one chemist put it, a little bit contrived. So just as skepticism for our first suspect has been growing, the case for suspect number 2, the engine, has been getting much, much stronger. A series of breakthrough experiments are showing that the core chemical reactions of life might not need those complex enzymes after all. And this is the key clue right here, 9 out of 11. So what does that mean? Well, it refers to one of the most central metabolic cycles in all of life. It's called the reverse TCA cycle, and it's what builds the raw materials for things like amino acids and nucleotides. In this really remarkable series of experiments, a team led by a chemist named Joseph Moran showed that 9 of the 11 reactions in that core metabolic cycle can happen spontaneously, without any enzymes at all. All they needed were the simple metals and conditions you'd find in ancient hydrothermal vents. It's a brilliant illustration of how geochemistry could have just become biochemistry. So, where does all this leave our investigation? Is it the replicator or is it the engine? Well, like with a lot of great detective stories, the answer might not be so simple. The emerging verdict seems to be pointing toward a collaboration. Yeah, more and more scientists are starting to believe this isn't an either-or question. It's not about which one came first, but how they might have grown up together. It looks like our 2 main suspects may have been working together all along. Here's how it might have all gone down. Imagine that metabolic engine in the vents starts cranking out a steady supply of life's building blocks. Well, this rich environment makes it much easier for a simple replicator like RNA to form. Then these 2 systems start helping each other, co-evolving, and getting more and more complex together. And the crucial link, the bridge between the 2 worlds, might have been these small molecules called cofactors, which actually help metabolism run and are made of the same stuff as RNA. Of course, the case is far, far from closed. We can't just travel back in time to see what really happened. So scientists are acting like cosmic detectives, piecing this incredible story together from the biochemical fossils left inside our own cells and from clues we find scattered all across the solar system. And this whole mystery brings us to a final, really fascinating question for today. As we use powerful new telescopes to scan the atmospheres of distant exoplanets, what are we actually looking for? Should we be searching for signs of a complex genetic molecule like DNA? Or should we be looking for the telltale chemical signatures of a simple planetary-scale metabolism, a chemical engine just churning away on some distant world? The answer could change everything we think we know about where we came from and whether or not we're alone.